Okay, in this video I'm just going to run over how to make a wire trace for bait fishing for pike. So we've got some crimp pliers. They're not 100% essential, there are other ways of making a trace, but this is just the way that I make them. So crimps, you need a few crimps, you probably need 2 at max. You also need 2 treble hooks, a swivel, some wire cutters, and some wires you can cut with scissors, so you could use scissors as well. And any wire you want to use, there's lots on the market, just pick one. Okay, so first things first, we want to start with our wire. You can use any wire you want, I'm just using a Drennan now. You want your trace at a minimum of 15 inches long. And I've got a tape measure in here, but I know this box is around 32 centimetres. 15 inches is 40, so when I get a piece of wire out of this, where is it? Oops, so that's pulling out now. You want to be quite generous with it. I'm going to go for maybe about 60 centimetres of wire, which would be double the box. It's about that. And then what we do, we got our wire cutters and we snip it off. Let me just send a bit more back in there actually. There we go. We just cut our wire wherever you feel comfortable. Anything over 15 inches, that's just better. Then, what we start with, now we've got our piece of wire, which is about 60 centimetres long, is we start with a crimp. So we get our crimp, and we're going to send the crimp up the trace, like so. So you can see that. Just like that. Then what we do is we get the hook and we send the hook on. You send that piece of trace wire back through the crimp. Pull the crimp down like that. You want a little bit of a loop next to the hook. Gives it a little bit of movement. Then what I do is, for an extra precaution, is just send the wire back through again. Like so. And as it comes out the other end, we're going to grab that tag end and we're going to pull it tight so it cinches that loop down at the other side, just like that. But you got a bit of play in the hook because of that loop you put in the first time. Then we get our crimp pliers and we use the first notch on the front of the pliers. You can zoom in and you can see what these look like. Oops, a bit close. As you can see, at one end it's got teeth and the other side just smooth and round. That allows, when you're crushing the crimp down, it bites into the wire and holds it still inside the crimp so it doesn't slip. So we'll get onto that bit. We use the front part of the crimp pliers into the groove and we give it a good squeeze. Like so. And then what you see is that crimp is now flattened and it's also got teeth marks where it's gripping the wire now. See, it's flat where it was around before. Now what I'm going to do, just get the wire cutters again. I'm going to snip that tag end off as close to the crimp as I can, I'll feel comfortable with, and we take that off and remove it. Then you've got a fixed hook on your piece of wire there, that's not coming off. So now we've done that, we're going to move on to the second hook. Now this is where it gets a bit tricky for someone who's not good with fiddly things, so I'll move these things out of the way because I need another hook. So what we do with the second hook is, we get your second hook, you pass that down the wire, all the way down, keep going. Then what you do with that, generally you want to be lining that up with one of the baits you got. You don't have to take them out of the pack or anything, most pike packs come with a clear bag. And you just place the hooks down and you measure it on the fish. You want to be covering half the bait with your hooks, not the whole thing. We'll go into that a bit later on. So I want it roughly about there. I'm used to the size of baits that I'm using. Made no end of traces. Now what we do is essentially a knotless knot. So what you do is you hold that tight there, you bring your wire back underneath and then around the shank of the hook like this, just like that. And then what you do, you're going to hold the hook this way now, is you whip your wire around it like so. Do it a couple of times, as many times as you feel is necessary, and you pinch it so it doesn't all unravel. You get the end of your wire and you go back through the eye of the hook like this and pull it up like that, and then just give it a good tug, see if it's locked. That hook isn't actually going anywhere now. That is fully locked onto the trace and it does not budge. Simple as that. A bit of practice. I mean, you get enough wire in these packs, you can keep having a go. Let's zoom in and show you what it looks like. It's a bit messy, I didn't do too many loops on it, but it's fixed and that's the main thing. It's not going to move anywhere. Then, onto the last part of the trace. We go back to the crimps again, but this time, when we pass it down the wire, if we can pick one of these crimps up, there we go. Pass the wire through the crimp. If I can stop looking through the cameras, do it properly. There we go. So, crimp back on. And we're going to add the swivel, like so. And just the same way we did it as the first hook on the trace, we're going to go back through the crimp, like this. I'm going to pull it tight, then back through again. If it'll come through. There we go. Now grab that, pull it tight. Like so. There you go. And again, you want a bit of play in the swivel at the top with the loop, like that. Again, crimp pliers, first loop again, first notch, sorry. We go in there, as you can see that, we're in the first notch. Good squeeze. And then that's flatten the crimp and bit into the wire. So, then what you do, you get your cutters again, take that tag end off, like so. And then what you're left with is a finished trace. With the swivel on the end, and that's not going anywhere either. Absolutely cock on that.